Who knew when I hopped on Uncle Phil's 18-wheeler semi back when I was 19 for Hollywood, then ended up in Japan, then backpacked all over Southeast Asia. I think I went to Thailand maybe 6 times and spent my 21st birthday in Chiang Mai with friends. Who knew that my life would take all the turns that it has, that I've become an intimacy expert, that I'm in season 13 of a podcast, and that I'm meeting the most incredible people all around this world as guests to share with you their wisdom and to be a role model of intimate conversations. Conversations about what most people would consider like way too deep or way too vulnerable, but for me, it's like soul food. Shallow conversations do not do it for me. And so as we move into this next conversation with Jeremy, who had me on his podcast just weeks before, what an incredible experience to learn more about him, that he lives in Thailand, that he's creating a life that works for him, that he's following his heart, and his own journey through his own addiction has led to his own business and paying it forward and being there for others. I just love being with humans who embrace the mess, turn it into their message, create a lifestyle that honors their soul. It's just such a beautiful mirror and reflection that we all are at choice to, like alchemy, turn our pain into our empowerment, and even more into our inspiration to others. So this conversation is deep and vulnerable. We go back into the past, how we were raised, and all this beautiful journey of the beauty and the reverence and the sacredness of our sexuality. Enjoy.
Welcome to Intimate Conversations, Season 13, Heart Broken Open, where intimacy is an inside job.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Intimate Conversations. Here we are, Season 13, Heart Broken Open, with my new friend who had so much fun. I was so honored to be on his podcast, the incredible Jeremy Lipkowitz. Let me tell you all about his journey, and then we'll get down to the nitty gritty. Jeremy is a former Buddhist monk, meditation teacher, an ICF certified executive coach, and he helps high achieving men break free from compulsive behaviors, especially porn addiction, and build lives of integrity, discipline, and deep fulfillment. With over 13 years meditation experience and hundreds of days, of which I haven't even done one, in silent retreat, Jeremy blends ancient wisdom with cutting-edge science to guide individuals towards emotional resilience and personal freedom. Get this, he was a former genetic researcher who earned a bachelor's and master's degree in genetics and genomics. I don't even know that word existed. You're so smart. And pursued a PhD at Duke University. But Jeremy left academia after confronting his own struggles with addiction, shame, and self-judgment. A brief period of monastic training in Myanmar deepened his mindfulness practice and marked the start of a lifelong commitment to personal growth and service. As the founder of Unhooked Academy and host of the Unhooked podcast that I've been on, Jeremy is a leading voice in destigmatizing porn addiction and educating the public on effective science-based recovery strategies. And his work helps men overcome shame, understanding the neuroscience of addiction, and create lasting transformation through mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and habit change. So for over a decade, this amazing man has taught at universities and recovery centers and global companies across the US and Asia, and his calm, grounded presence and ability to bridge analytical thinking with inner work makes him a sought-after guide for professionals and executives looking to reclaim their lives from digital distractions and self-sabotaging patterns. You can find out more at Jeremy Lipkowitz, .com, and all of that is in the show notes. So good to see you again. So good to see you.
So good to be back. Yeah.
Yeah. Your smile is so radiant. Your calmness and presence is so well, when you had me on your show, it was so safe to, I always say like I can share as deep as someone listens. And we just went so deep. And now that I've read your bio, I understand why you're such a deep, deep human. First and foremost, how are you? How is your heart? How's your life? How are you today?
Today I'm doing fantastic. It's morning time over here
Yes.
in Thailand where I live, and I woke up early, got my coffee, and went and sat out in the sun for about an hour just to kind of soak up the sun rays. So it's off to a good start, and yeah, happy to be here.
I love it. Yes, I think I went to Thailand 6 times. It's a magical, magical place. So we'll sort of start maybe at the end and work backwards. How did you decide on Thailand to be your home base for your incredible work in the world?
Yeah, I first came to Thailand maybe 10 years ago or so. And came because I had got offered a job teaching mindfulness in a school. So I was teaching mindfulness in an international school.
Yeah.
And that's when I first moved to Thailand, moved to Bangkok. I didn't fall in love with Bangkok at the time, but I did fall in love with Thailand and Thai culture, and ended up moving up to Chiang Mai in the mountains for a few years, teaching meditation there. But, I love Thai culture. It's a safe place. It's a friendly place. Everyone is calm, and they call it the land of smiles, and it really is.
Oh.
People are just friendly here, and I feel really grounded and safe. And I love Thai food.
Yeah.
And,
Hello.
the weather, and it's just a lovely place to live, and great people. It's really interesting, I'll just say, for people who haven't been to Bangkok, or actually even for people who have, a lot of people go to Bangkok for like tourism. And for me, coming to Bangkok as a tourist, it's not that nice. It's kind of busy and hectic. But when you live here as an expat, it's so different. I mean, there's run clubs and gyms and really good community, and it's just a nice place to live. So I don't necessarily recommend people coming to Bangkok as a tourist, but I do recommend coming to Thailand as a tourist and living in Bangkok.
Wow. I think I was very much a tourist. I was a backpacker when I got to Thailand. It was back before the internet. I'm so old. And I sent a letter to Poste Restante in about 5 or 6 different countries to my friends saying, I'm going to land in Bangkok on this day. If you're in the country, come to the airport. And it was all these people and 2 big blondes. I'm like, oh my God, you're here. So they supported me in learning the way of being a backpacker. Spent my 21st birthday in Chiang Mai, then up to Chiang Rai.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I really, really loved the country. Been back many times. So that just says your love of culture, your curiosity about diversity, your welcoming, about like a global perspective. So as we sort of bridge over in this global issue of porn addiction, tell me your story of how you got started with porn, how old, like the whole story, if you'd be so kind.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it started at a very early age, not necessarily with porn. When I was a kid, we didn't have, high-speed internet back then. But I remember looking at comic book characters in a certain way. I remember when the lingerie catalog would come in the mail, that I would look at that and kind of get turned on. And, yeah, Victoria's Secret.
Yeah.
That was the best one. Even like the Macy's catalog, like the underwear section.
Sure.
So at a very young age, I just started noticing my attraction to these kind of images.
Yes.
And it slowly, grew over time in a very subtle way. And this is something we should definitely come back to, just the ways that these things can grow almost imperceptibly, but over a long enough time span, they grow and morph into other things. And so it got to the point where I believe it was in around middle school, early days of high school, when I started getting access to the internet and starting being able to download actual porn and kind of images at first and videos. And it just kept slowly progressing to the point where when I got to college, when I was in university, and we did have internet in our dorm rooms, in our houses, and I was watching porn every night on these tube sites. I was watching maybe an hour of porn, sometimes 2 hours of porn every night.
Well,
And so it just kept progressing.
wow.
It started at quite a young age.
Yeah. In all transparency, my dad was a pharmacist and would work on the weekends or Sundays when the store was closed. My sister and I would go. There's a whole drugstore to look through, and my sister and I found ourselves with all of the Playboy or Penthouse magazines and getting in trouble. Very shamed by that. On the other hand, my dad gave us condoms in our stocking one year when we were like 14 and 16. If you're a prat, you like sex, but if you have sex, you could die. And we're just like, what? Like AIDS and, all of this age. So on the one hand, shamed, on the other hand, sort of supported. So did you have talks about sex with your parents? Did they know that you were interested in these different images, or were you just sort of in the Wild West and then with your dorm buddies?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's such a fascinating topic. I feel like we could go down this rabbit hole for a whole hour of just childhood experiences and the levels of shame and acceptance and, the mix of those things. I also grew up I come from a divorced household. So my parents got divorced when I was 3. My dad's side was, very religious, conservative Christian. My mom was very liberal. And so I was mostly raised by my mom, who was very liberal, very open to sexuality. I remember when we wanted to go rent a movie at Blockbuster, she would say, you can have anything with sex in it, that's fine, but no violence.
Okay.
So we couldn't watch the war movies, but if there was sex, she was like, it's fine. So I grew up in a pretty liberal home.
Yeah.
And yet, despite that, there was still this level of shame around things like getting curious about masturbation and porn and those kind of things. And so I also had these early experiences of a natural curiosity towards sex and those kinds of things, but no healthy education around it, no safe space to really talk about it or open up about it. And so that kind of was my background as well. Natural curiosity, but also shamed at an early age for these things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people experience that. Every young boy has this experience of, somebody walking in on him looking at porn and screaming in horror, what are you doing? What are you doing? And that's his first experience of sexual shame.
Right.
Leaves an imprint.
Right. Oh my goodness. I hope my son doesn't see this podcast, but I remember just a little boy and so proud of his penis. And I said, you have a beautiful penis. I'm just asked if you play with your beautiful penis in your room, not at the dinner table with our guests. That's all. And then as he got older, I remember my cream, all my body cream in my bathroom kept going missing. And then I put 2 and 2 together when I found socks under the bed. And then one day I went to the grocery store and I said, would you like me to pick you up some more cream? And he smirked and I said, honey, it's normal. It's natural. It's no problem. And so that felt like a win moment. And then also taking him to the drugstore to buy condoms. And I'm like, I had talks about things and I wanted it to be consensual and all the rest of it. But I want you to be safe and I want her to be safe. So I made him buy lubricant and the condoms too. So like there's 2 people here and it's connection. And I remember one time, Jeremy, I can't believe I'm telling all these stories. He was too old to go to the camp, but not old enough to do something else. So he could be like a camp advisor. And he came home one day, Jeremy, and he said, Mom, did you ever play spin the bottle? And so I just played dumb. I go, I don't know. What is that? And he's like, well, it's your kiss. I'm like, oh. He goes, yeah, I kissed 5 girls behind the tent. And then again, just no shame. I'm like, so how was it? And he's like, oh, I can't remember the girl's name. One of them was my favorite. And I said, why? Mom, she was so present. And I'm like, yay! I'm like, just starting to cherish things that my whole world is about, presence and vulnerability and intimacy and releasing the shame. So did you ever get caught by people you were with when you were in college with your hour or 2 hour male friends or females that would walk in? Did anything ever happen?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to say, like, you have such a lucky son to have someone like you as a mother who really knows how to kind of recognize the importance of unshaming the sexuality and the interest of saying, hey, this is totally normal. That's okay. I can pick you up some more, moisturizing cream.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. And I think for the listeners out there, it's probably giving them some ideas of like how to raise healthy children and to be able to talk about these things and normalize these behaviors. So important. For me, I had, very visceral memories of experiences where I got walked in on, or I remember this one incident. It was my freshman year in college, and in freshman year, you share a dorm room with another guy.
Yeah.
And so I remember I was watching porn in the middle of the day. It was like 1 p.m. and my roommate was off at class. But I remember I was sitting kind of near the window, and I saw outside the window, I saw him bicycle up. And I knew that he would have to lock his bike.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I've got maybe 4 minutes before he's going to get here. And so let me just finish up. And so, I just kept watching. And then 30 seconds later, he was in the dorm room walking in, and I was
Like,
I
what?
slammed the computer closed and, just kind of played it cool. But yeah, I mean, we all have these experiences of being shamed for our sexuality, whether we like it or not. I mean, it's a very thin line between kind of saying, hey, this is normal, but, keep it private, versus, oh, what are you doing? Don't do that here.
Totally.
Yeah.
Bridge into, if you'd be so kind, the neuroscience that you're so aware of. I was listening to something the other day. It was quite disturbing around human trafficking. And they were researching people that were like pedophiles, or the porn was specifically with children, and how, as they're shutting down human trafficking rings, not just the pimps or the saving the children, but the talking to the people who desire having sex with children, so much of it is connected to watching porn with children, and then their brains wanting more and needing stranger or kinkier or worse situation. Explain to us what happens to our brains and our behaviors when we start to watch porn.
Yeah. So one of the issues with addiction is, one of the components or the characteristics of addiction is escalation. And you need more and more of the substance or the behavior in order to get the same hit that you got before.
Right.
Because you become desensitized.
Yeah.
What did it for you before no longer does it for you. And so you need something slightly more extreme, slightly more intense in order to get that same feeling.
Yeah.
And so over time, kind of, we don't even notice that it's happening, but slowly, the thing that did it for us the day before, it just doesn't feel that exciting. And so we happen upon something that feels more titillating, more exciting, maybe more taboo.
Right.
Maybe it's a little bit more risque. And so I'm not supposed to be watching this, but that heightens the feeling of arousal.
Right.
Because arousal and taboo and these things are all interlinked.
Got it.
And so it heightens that experience, and the user ends up learning that, oh, this is what turns me on.
Right.
And if I want to get that same hit, I got to go down that rabbit hole a little bit more.
Right.
And over years, it can just slowly progress into areas that people don't have a genuine sexual interest in. I mean, so many people have said they never were interested in kind of child pornography or anything like that before, but just slowly, after getting exposed to it and watching porn and feeling that sensation, it became what they were looking for. And so that can happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. With the clients that you work with, how do you shift it? How do you help them be not addicted? How do you support them in a very brain science way, as well as coaching and supporting them emotionally with the shame and all the rest of it? How does it actually work to become not addicted to it?
Yeah, let me pause that question for a second, just because I think something really important to understand is to look at this question of who is addicted and who has a problem with it, because I don't want to give the impression that it's only the people who are into child porn or some kind of crazy thing that should qualify themselves as having a problem. That it can, even if you haven't escalated into something, really abhorrent like child pornography, even if you're just watching vanilla porn, there's a lot of ways it can be impacting your life, your intimacy, your relationships. So for everyone out there who's listening, who's saying, well, I don't watch child porn, so I don't have a
I'm
problem
fine.
with it.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of ways that it can be impacting your life. So even if it hasn't escalated in that way, maybe it's just escalated in terms of how frequently you need to do it. Maybe it's escalated in terms of like some particular genre or niche or fetish that you've gotten into. There's a lot of ways that it can escalate. And even if it doesn't escalate in that way, it can still just be causing problems in your life and in your relationships.
Yeah.
So I just want to point that out.
I'm really glad you did, Jeremy. And what I wanted to share with my world and my clients is that I've had various people that said, gentlemen that would say, I'm not making love to my wife. I'm making love to the images in my mind. And I'm so ashamed. And she's aware that I'm checked out, that I'm not present, that I'm not tracking her, that my eyes are closed and I'm somewhere else. And she doesn't know. And if she finds out, I don't even know what's going to happen. So, and then I remember as they were working with two coaches at once, me and someone else. And as they got off the porn, I remember the day they said, I made love to my wife tonight. And like, it was so beautiful. And she never even knew. She never even knew. Like, he had support on the side. And so maybe we can even talk about how do you bring this up with your partner? And is this quite common to not be present because of the porn?
Yeah. Yeah, that is probably one of the most common subtle ways that porn can impact your life and impact your relationship.
Yeah.
And it's something I see all the time with the guys that I work with, that there's this lack of presence because, they're watching so much porn that having sex and having intimacy with their partner just doesn't do it for them anymore, because they're associating their arousal and their sexuality with what they're seeing on a screen.
Right.
And so their brain doesn't, kind of recognize that, when you're having sex with your partner, that's what should be turning you on. So they end up needing to, just as you say, close their eyes, check out, and bring up a memory or an image of some porn that they had watched the night before in order to get hard or stay hard,
right,
or have sex.
Right.
And their partners feel that.
Totally.
So often I hear from women, it just feels like he's not there. It feels like he's just somewhere else. And the truth is that he is.
Yeah.
He's usually thinking of some porn scene that he just recently watched.
Right.
And it can be really devastating, on intimacy in a relationship.
Yeah. And then she makes it mean all these things. He must be having an affair, or I am fat and ugly, or he doesn't love me anymore. All these different thoughts. And then, it just trickles downward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Total downward spiral.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of these subtle impacts of porn. One of them is, a reduced ability to be satisfied and appreciative of the partner you have.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that porn does when you're watching on a regular basis is what you are getting addicted to is you're getting addicted to novelty. Because when you log on to porn, every night you log on, you might be seeing hundreds of different faces, thousands of different faces, different positions, different scenes. And it's every time you see something new or something fresh that you get this little dopamine hit. And so your brain is starting to get addicted to the novelty more than anything else.
Got it.
I need something new. I need something fresh. I mean, if you ask almost any guy, would he be happy just watching the same porn video over and over and over again? He would say, no, I want something new tonight.
Right.
And so we go through these tube sites of scrolling, looking for the best new video, looking for something new and fresh. And that can have, again, really harmful consequences on your ability to stay present and be content and appreciative of the partner you have.
Right.
Because they're not changing every night.
Yeah.
They're not morphing into someone new.
No.
Yeah. So there's a lot of subtle consequences of porn. And it's one of the reasons that porn is so hard to break free from, is that a lot of guys out there aren't aware of these consequences because they're downstream, they're subtle, they're long-term. They're not necessarily things that you see right away.
Yes. And then coupled with that, I need to keep this secret, or coupled with that, I'm ashamed. And then how that affects every area of your life as well, not just with your partner, but you go into any situation, you're not quite present. You're not quite fully self-expressed. There's just that little bit, that anchor holding you back, that I'm somehow bad or wrong on top of it all.
Yeah.
So what is it
The
like?
deep secret shame.
Yeah. What is it like when men reach out to you? How is it? Like, can they make eye contact, or are they so grateful they can be not judged by someone? What is it like? So I imagine it's quite an honor to go into the dark shadow and be that safe place that doesn't judge them.
Yeah. Well, the answer to your question, is it this or is it that? The answer is yes. It's both. I mean, there's a lot of shame, and it takes a lot of work for a guy to even show up on a call with me or in a men's group, in a community.
Yeah.
So if they've gotten to that point, they've already had to face a lot of inner demons and battles.
Yeah.
And when they've gotten to the point where they're ready to ask for help,
Yes.
it usually means that it's gotten pretty bad. They've had some kind of rock bottom experience where they've had a wake up call and they said, I can't keep living like this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true for almost every guy in recovery.
Yes.
He's had some experience where he says, I can't keep living the way I'm living.
Yeah.
That was true for me. It's true for all the guys I work with. And it comes in different forms and flavors, but there's some moment of insight, some moment of, I can't keep doing this anymore. And that's what provides the fuel to actually be vulnerable and get help and show up. And then when they do show up on a call, it is the most magical thing. Like the community that I run, so we have a weekly call in my men's group, and you see when guys show up and they can actually be vulnerable and talk about, hey, I watched this and I feel really bad about it, or I'm feeling really proud of myself for doing this, and here's the wins that I have this week. When they can really just be open and honest about what they're going through, sometimes for the first time in their life.
Right.
Because the other thing, a lot of guys don't feel comfortable talking about this even to therapists, because some therapists, don't understand. It might not be a safe place. The number of times I've heard a guy tell me that, I started to talk about it to a therapist, but the therapist just said, well, porn is normal. There's no big deal. Just keep doing it. And they just don't get it. They just kind of brush it aside and say, it's no big deal.
Wow.
Let's talk about something else.
Oh,
and so even in some of these, kind of therapeutic sessions where a guy should be able to talk about how heavy it is and how painful it is and how he's struggling, he might not be able to get that support. So it's a huge relief and weight off their shoulders and letting go of shame when you can talk about it with people who understand.
Totally. Curious, who did you go to? How did your journey begin? Who helped you?
Yeah, so I had a different path. I mean, my path was, because back then, this was back in 2009, 2010. It wasn't as common as these days. You see it all over social media, people talking about NoFap or the harms of porn. You see men's groups. So there's a lot of resources out there now. Back when I was doing it, I still thought I was kind of the only one. And I didn't really have people to talk to.
Got it.
And so my path was much more through mindfulness, through Buddhist philosophy, through these meditation retreats, of really just saying, hey, this is a behavior that has hijacked my brain, hijacked my mind. I know there's nothing wrong with sexuality. I need to fix this. And so that's what led me down the path of meditation and mindfulness. And so I didn't really have a community. What I did have is a few early experiences. They were very infrequent, but they were incredibly memorable, of being able to open up about it to another guy. There were two really memorable experiences where I did that. And I remember it was a safe place. There were guys that I really trusted. And I remember, still to this day, those two experiences of opening up and saying, hey, this is something that I had struggled with in the past or am struggling with. And it was so liberating to be able to open up and talk about it. So it doesn't have to be a men's group. It doesn't have to be a coach. It can just be like a friend who you feel really safe with. And who's not going to judge you. And that does wonders.
Oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. So one is opening up, the shame is dissolving, I'm not alone, the sense of belonging. How does one begin to I'm thinking rewire the brain and the nervous system to change what turns you on? Right? Like getting into the body and slowing down the sensations of what feels amazing and leaving the mind. How does the process actually work?
Yeah. Well, you said a key word there, which is rewire. And a lot of this is about understanding the ways that understanding the neuroscience behind these addictions and what's there is really pivotal to also understanding how to break free and how to reclaim your life.
Yeah.
Take back your power.
Yeah.
So, first of all, just to understand, for people who aren't aware of what neuroplasticity is the understanding we have now that your brain is constantly forming new connections, new pathways, depending on what you do with your mind and even with your attention. Where you're placing your attention will actually be forming new neural pathways and strengthening or de-strengthening certain neural pathways. And that was a pivotal understanding for me early on in my recovery. I was reading these books about positive psychology and Buddhist philosophy and mindfulness and neuroscience. And there was this one phrase that really stuck with me. It was from a neuroscientist who said, neurons that fire together wire together. And I remember when I heard that quote and understood it, it helped me see that every time I logged on to porn, every night that I was engaged in porn, I was hardwiring these neural pathways of lust and craving and, desire and needing something I didn't have.
Right.
And in that moment, I also realized that that feeling of lust is a state of suffering. When you're lusting after something you don't have, it's not a state of abundance or contentment or gratitude. It's empty.
Yeah.
It's saying, I am not good enough in this moment. I need that thing outside of myself in order to be happy.
Totally.
And that's what addiction is. It's saying, I need that hit.
Yeah.
I need that porn. I need that sex. I need that validation.
Yep.
And if I don't have that, I can't be happy.
Right. Right.
And so it's a miserable state to live in.
Yes.
It's a state of suffering.
Yeah.
So just understanding, for people out there that's how these pathways get formed.
Okay.
It's over time, drip by drip, you fill up a bucket. And the same way that every time you engage in porn-based fantasy, you're strengthening just the neural pathways, the autopilot, autonomic behaviors of lusting after women, objectifying women. And for the context of this episode, I'm just going to speak from a cisgendered, heteronormative perspective, talking about men being addicted to, porn, who are attracted to women. But this applies to anything.
Sure.
Whether you're a gay guy, lesbian, doesn't matter. If you're watching porn, whatever you're watching, you're hardwiring that craving in.
Right.
So the same, fortunately, is true for breaking free. Is that if you want to break free, it's about hardwiring in different sets of neural pathways.
Right.
And so one of the things I realized is when I had this moment of hitting a rock bottom and having a moment of, oh man, I can't keep living like this.
Yeah.
What I realized in that moment is what I wanted, deeply wanted, what I deeply desired for my life was a life of deep inner peace and contentment.
Yeah.
Deep gratitude, deep fulfillment, a life of rich relationships, not superficial one-night stands and hits of pleasure that only lasted a brief second.
Right.
And so what I realized is if I want those mental qualities to pervade my life, I need to start training my mind and strengthening the neural pathways of gratitude, contentment, patience, all those things. And you can strengthen them. And that's what meditation is. Meditation is simply training your mind in different mental qualities. And so that was why, meditation just totally blew my mind, is that it provided me a pathway out of my darkness.
Wow.
It said, if this is what you want, if you want inner peace, if you want gratitude, contentment, simply train your mind and strengthen those neural pathways. It's very, in my mind is very scientific and logical. And for me, it was so nice because it wasn't super woo-woo or fluffy. It was just like, here's how you do it.
Yes.
There's a path. You walk down the path
Yes.
and your brain will respond.
So that makes total sense to me. And so it's no longer going this way. It's going this way. You're the other way.
Yeah.
And you're building all of those desires, ways of being that are aligned with your, I'm going to say your soul, your truth, your heart. And then, so now over time, you just stopped desiring porn. Like you just didn't have the desire anymore. How did you know you were quote unquote free?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's interesting. A client was just asking me about this yesterday, and he was saying, what is success in recovery?
Yeah.
He was asking the question, is it where your willpower gets so strong that even when you have urges, you just know how to make the right choice and you're constantly just making that better choice over and over and over again?
Yeah.
Or is it that you just have fewer urges over time and you're just not even thinking about it?
Right.
And you just start living from a place of, you're not even thinking about making a better decision. You're just not even considering, oh, porn would be an option right now. And the truth is that it's both. That for long-term sustainable recovery, we want to get to the place where we're not having to fight against our urges all the time.
Yep.
We're just naturally living from a place of integrity and from a place of making healthier decisions without needing to use willpower for it.
Right.
And we can also grow that willpower muscle so that when an urge inevitably arises, which it will with sex and porn being everywhere, urges are going to arise. And so it's also about cultivating those muscles of self-control, impulse control, learning how to notice an urge without reacting to it or giving into it and saying, oh, I'm noticing a strong urge to open up a porn website. I'm noticing a strong urge to go to a massage parlor and get a happy ending.
Right.
Noticing an urge to eat this junk food.
Right.
Is this aligned with my values?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not. Okay, I'm not going to choose that.
Right.
So it's both of those. For myself, it was, it's a slow process. And you asked the question, like, how did I know when I got to the place where I was free or healed? It's a never ending, journey. Like now it's not about, am I struggling with porn? It's like, oh, the ways that I'm addicted to social media or to food or to validation or to my body looking a certain way and, getting attached to, oh, I want to have it look like this and I want attention from these people. So, recovery, one of the things I'm really passionate about is it's not about porn. It's not about just this behavior. It's about the nature of addiction, the nature of craving and looking for happiness outside of ourselves.
Yes.
And it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. You can keep peeling back layers and get closer and closer to recognizing that your happiness is inside of you.
Yes. This is so great. This is my passion when I call it intimacy with self, like into me, I see. So there's all these different, one of my teachers calls them consciousness amplifiers. And it could be you're triggered by not getting the validation, as you said, or that food, or it could be money, or it could be relationship, or it's going to be everywhere. And he gives the analogy of a tree with all these different branches everywhere. And you come back to the trunk of the tree and your roots down into yourself, your soul, the earth. And that's life. So we never get there. There's just all these different flavors, just that it can really be in our face if it's something stronger, like a drinking addiction or a gambling addiction or a porn addiction, when it really does mess up your life, your business, your marriage, your family, where we start to wake up. But once, quote unquote, that's done, oh, well, look at this. Like I'm in flamenco class. I'm 55. I just started taking flamenco dancing. I suck. And how I'm so addicted to getting it right. I mean, I used to be a professional dancer. I know what I'm doing. No, I don't. The rhythms are different. And oh my God. And just noticing, wow, can I love myself in my perfectly imperfect self? Can I enjoy being a hot mess? Can I celebrate the wins? And kind of back to the beginning, shame. No, I can't if I'm going to shame myself. No, I can't if I'm going to judge myself. No, I can't if I'm going to leave my body and not feel through the discomfort. Back to presence, back to truth. So I love this. And also, do you speak with your clients about rebuilding a healthier sexuality, tantra or breath. So they're not just going into mindfulness, but they're going into every inch of my partner's body. It's a new mystery every night. Like, how do you help them develop a new sexuality?
Yeah, totally. It's a great question. And the answer again is yes. And usually what I do is I send them to experts like yourself. I send them to people who specialize
Uh-huh.
in conscious sexuality
Yeah.
and intimacy
Yeah.
and, maybe tantra and stuff. For me, what I help them is the first step
Right.
is letting go of the sexual shame
Right.
and saying, you are a sexual being, and that's a beautiful part of being human.
Mm.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. And if you're engaging in these toxic behaviors that are poisoning your intimacy with your partner and poisoning your sexuality, it's going to be very hard to rekindle a healthy sex life with your partner.
Yeah.
And so I get them to that first step of stopping ingesting the poison,
Right.
and to fundamentally accept their sexuality and say, sexuality is good.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
It's something to be celebrated.
Yes.
And then for the actual practices, the tantra stuff, I send them to people like you. I say, go check out Alana, go check out these, tantra workshops,
Yeah.
and do these partner exercises. I mean, I had you on my podcast just a few weeks ago, and already so many people have messaged me saying, I tried the dyad practices, and my partner and I had these really deep conversations already just with one dyad
Oh,
practice.
and sugars. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me really, really happy. Yeah. And it's wonderful.
Yeah. So,
please.
yeah. No, go for it.
Oh, it's just that we each have our lanes and that we are on the same freeway to help people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. It's like, I am by no means a tantra sexuality expert. And so I'm just there to kind of remind them, hey, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not, like there's nothing inherently wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's just that you've gotten confused. You've gotten lost along the way, and you've allowed this thing kind of take over your mind, and it's time to heal.
Yeah. Stunning. I want to also, before we wrap up, also acknowledge a lot of us women get addicted to vibrators, and we have a certain way of climaxing that requires that amount of stimulation. And so to wean off vibrators and to appreciate your partner's touch and to stay present in the mind, as opposed to a quick vibrator fantasy of her Fabio book, erotic fiction, whatever it is, right? That's just, it's very similar. It's very, very similar.
Totally. Well, I actually work with female clients as well, because women can get addicted not only to porn, but actually like romance novels is a very strong addiction.
Totally.
And can be very compulsive. It can be very secretive and shameful.
Right.
And it can also, again, escalate into, I need this. And it can also, just as we were talking about with men being not present and just in their heads during sex, for women as well. I mean, I have some clients where when they're having sex with their partners, they need to be thinking of some scene that they read about in their romance novel.
Right.
Because they get addicted to the intensity of those fantasies.
Yes.
And so, whether it's vibrators and the high intensity stimulation, which desensitizes you to, normal intimacy, or fantasy stories from romance novels,
Right.
A lot of these things can have impacts on women as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
As well as just normal porn. I mean, women can get addicted to video-based porn as well.
Sure. Yeah. I love our aligned, that we both had our bumps and wobbles on our paths, but we both seem so aligned of this resting inside, this calmness inside, this home inside, this enoughness inside, this wholeness from the inside out. I think it's pretty much a universal journey where we do this to get, not hurt or get praise or get love. As we grow up, we think it's all outside in, and then it stops working. And then the journey is back home again to the wholeness within. And then this brain, the behaviors, the communication, where we can have the slightest, smallest, slowest touch and presence, and it's every day. I'm so glad that we do what we do, and I'm still on my journey. And so in conclusion, how has your world turned out with, I don't know, your relationship status, or if you're a father, or how has all this work benefited you personally?
I mean, it's benefited me immensely. I would say that, and this is a common theme for many of us who are in recovery and kind of successfully in recovery, is to be grateful for the addiction. Like, I'm so grateful that I went through porn addiction and had that experience, because it opened my eyes to these deeper questions. If I hadn't had that, I would just be kind of,
Asleep.
going through the motions and asleep. Yeah. But this, when it fundamentally breaks, you're forced to question your beliefs.
Yeah.
And that was what happened to me. Is I was like, I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm still not happy.
Yeah.
There must be something wrong. And that's what forced me to look at, Buddhist philosophy. And that's a huge part of my life now. So it immensely benefited me, and, has improved my relationships. I'm not in a relationship right now. I'm single, but dating, and much more aware of my own kind of habits and behaviors, and what I'm looking for, and how to show up and be present in a relationship. So it's just, I can't thank my addiction enough, I would say.
That's such a great way of stating it. I was out, there's a rock outside. It's amazing. I'm on 30 acres right now. I just love it. And there's this humongous boulder, and I sit out there and I do my morning meditation when the sun rises. And I was just crying the other day, and I'm like, I'm so grateful for all that I went through, because my lover is the divine. Like, I'm never alone. Or I guess I'm alone. If we look, there's no one else. There's my cat. That's it. But maybe I'm not lonely, or I don't feel not held. I have my moments, definitely. But in general, I feel that, oh my God, look at this beautiful life I get to make love to. That's making love to me. It's a point of view that I nurture more and more every day. So this wholeness, that's our birthright. Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. So I want all the people that are like, okay, I need to talk to Jeremy. Jeremy, Lipkowitz.com. It's going to be in the show notes. How does it start? What's on your site? How can they begin? Is it the men's group you start with? Is it a call with you they start with? How do they work with you?
Yeah. Well, I would say, even before someone wants to think about kind of working with me or joining the community, is if any of this interests you, just check out my podcast, because there's so many free resources and things I talk about on the podcast. And so, just start there. There's a lot of, great interviews with people like yourself, so that's a good place to start. Unhooked, the Breaking Porn Addiction podcast. And then if you are interested in working with me, I do a variety of types of work. So I do one-on-one coaching with individuals. I also have a group program for men. And then I also have online courses if you're not ready to kind of show up and really be vulnerable in person.
Sure.
There are also online courses that I have. So you can check those out, unhookedacademy.com, or just check out my website.
So brilliant. Beautiful. Well, I just adore you. So thank you so much for coming on Intimate Conversations. We're going to go over now to Patreon. And I just gave him the news flash. We're going to dance, but you're allowed to chair dance if you really need to. But I'm going to see if I can get his butt out of the chair and ask him some of the delicious questions I ask all of our guests. So as we complete, please take a beat, take a moment, not to go rush off and do something else. But I'm sure some of the very wise, heartfelt, and maybe even the science was like, whoa, there's a way out. I didn't know there was a way out. Something touched you. So take a moment, feet on the ground, shut off the podcast, and just be with your truth, be with your heart, be with your awareness, and let that allow you to take one action. Certainly to go to Jeremy's site, go to his podcast for sure, and allow it to take that next step to honor yourself, your sacred sexuality, and the wholeness that is your birthright to live on this planet. I'm so grateful. Thank you for being with us on Intimate Conversations. And Jeremy, thank you so much.
See you next week on Intimate Conversations. Get out there and make love to life.
So I'm going to start you with a complete 360 of where I am. There's a little lake in the far distance. And I'm on a hike up to Chimney Rock right there. Let me get a little closer there for you for a second. And oh my goodness, I really hope you enjoyed that incredible interview with Jeremy. What I love so many things about it. Especially I love the after the show on Patreon, you gotta watch. The song he chose had like this Afro beat. I'm like, the guy's got moves. It was really fun. What I'm just so moved by is our aligned non-judgment for how hard it is to be a human, and the addictions that we don't even know are creeping up on us from the way we were raised or not raised, and that there's no need for things to get worse and worse and worse. You have a very safe place to connect to with Jeremy if you're a man suffering from addiction to porn and all the shame that goes along with it, and not knowing the neurological, like the scientific ways to support you, as well as the emotional, as well as the mindset. So please check him out. And also when it comes to then how do I reestablish trust? How do I reestablish connection and intimacy? How do I reestablish meaningful, sacred, erotic expression and connection with my partner? Then I would love to be able to support you. You can go to my website, alanapratt.com/connect. Go and have a look in the show notes, because there's a code in there that will give you a substantial scholarship so that we can connect one-on-one. And then lastly, this conversation is a life changer for someone out there that I bet you know. So if you loved it, please forward it to someone else, and please subscribe or rate or review, because that allows the algorithms to shift so that more people can hear from Jeremy and myself, and their lives can change. So as he lives in beautiful Thailand, and I have just moved to beautiful New Mexico, be sure you take some time today to put your feet on the earth and be grateful for this beautiful world we live in together. Thank you for being with us on Intimate Conversations. All my love.